Hello and welcome back to your favorite cloud learning channel. If you are studying for your AWS Certified Solution Architect Associate certification, knowing the S3's security and compliance features are non-negotiable. It's more than just an encryption. We have already covered S3 robust encryption features in previous module, but what if you need more? What if you need to protect against accidental object deletion, or you need to meet strict regulatory requirements like HIPAA or SEC? This video is part of the AWS Certified Solution Architect Associate Certification Bootcamp. In this video, we will cover 5 key S3 features and we will start with S3 Select, Glacier Select, and then a deep dive into S3 Object Lock, Glacier Vault Lock, and Amazon S3 MFA Delete. On behalf of the Cloud Expert Solutions team, I would like to thank you for joining us and selecting this bootcamp. Let's get started. If you have a massive log file and you only need a few lines of data, then S3 Select lets you use a simple SQL query to retrieve a specific subset of data directly from an S3 object. Instead of downloading the whole object, your query runs server side and S3 returns only the result you are looking for. Here is a diagram from AWS documentations, and you can see before S3 Select, your entire data was processed and filtered at the client side. However, after implementing S3 Select, the entire filtering process will be done at the server side. This is a huge win for performance and cost, as you pay for the data transferred, not for the whole object. And it actually provides 80% cheaper and 400% faster performance. S3 Select works with structured data in formats like CSV, JSON, and Apache Parquet. Now you must be thinking, what about your archive data in S3 Glacier? Does the same logic apply? The answer is yes, it does. But the name is Glacier Select. Glacier Select lets you run SQL queries directly on your data stored in Glacier without having to restore the entire archive first. This is a game changer feature for analytics on cold data, and you have a few options for how quickly you want your data to be returned. First, expedite, where the results will come in 1 to 5 minutes. Then standard, results will be available in 3 to 5 hours. And bulk, where results will be available in 5 to 12 hours. And please remember, for Glacier Select, the output is placed in an S3 bucket for you to retrieve. AWS announced discontinuation of S3 Select and Glacier Select feature for new customers starting July 25, 2024. That means existing customers can continue to use this service as usual. However, this is still a valid topic for the AWS certification, and you can expect 1 to 2 questions from this topic. Now, if you have regulatory or compliance requirement which mandates your S3 object to be maintained in unaltered format, then S3 Object Lock is the answer. Using S3 Object Lock, you can store objects using a write once and read many or worm model, which will prevent an object version from being overwritten or deleted for a fixed period or indefinitely. Please remember, you must explicitly enable this feature in your S3 bucket, and as a precondition, you need S3 versioning feature must be enabled for that bucket. The first option is retention period. This is a fixed period of time during which an object version cannot be deleted or overwritten. S3 assigns a retain until date and the lock expires automatically after that date. And the second option is legal hold. This is an indefinite lock with no expiration. And this lock will remain in effect until a user with the correct IAM permission explicitly removes it. In terms of use case, this is essential for compliance and also from protecting against accidental deletion or even from ransomware attack. When you set a retention period with S3 Object Lock, You choose a mode, and for the certification exam, this is very important. The first mode is governance mode. Governance mode prevents most users from deleting or altering the object, but users with a specific IAM permission, and please remember that permission name S3 bypass governance retention, can override that lock. Think of this mode as a strong fence with a special gate for administrator. And the other mode is compliance mode. Object lock in compliance mode is absolute. No users, not even the root user of your AWS account, can delete or modify the object until the retention period expires. This mode is for the most stringent regulatory compliance requirement. Now, what about archive data in S3 Glacier? That is where Glacier Vault Lock comes in. While S3 Object Lock works at the object level in S3, Vault Lock works at the vault level in Glacier. You define a warm policy for the entire vault, like specifying rules like retention period. And please remember, once you lock the policy, it becomes immutable and cannot be changed or deleted. There is no going back. The locking process has a two-step initiation, and it will give you a 24-hour window to abort any lock or to make any changes if you have done a mistake. The key difference in this scope: object lock is for individual objects in S3 and vault lock for the entire vault in Glacier, and this is permanent in nature. Our last topic is very simple but powerful security feature, which is MFA Delete. As the name suggests, it uses multi-factor authentication to protect against accidental or malicious permanent object deletion. For an S3 bucket with versioning enabled, MFA Delete requires an MFA code for two critical actions. The first one, if you want to permanently delete an object from the bucket, or if you want to disable or suspend versioning in that bucket. This ensures even if an attacker gets your AWS credentials, they won't be able to wipe your S3 bucket without having access to the physical MFA device. There are two requirements for MFA enablement. First, the S3 versioning to be enabled on the bucket. And second, please remember, you can only enable MFA Delete using AWS CLI, not using console, and it must be done by the root user. Back to my AWS Management Console, and I am at S3 dashboard. We are going to select the same bucket, whatever we have created in previous version. I'll go inside the bucket. I'll go to properties. Here is the bucket versioning. You can see I do not have bucket versioning enabled. It is saying disabled. If I'll scroll bottom, here is the object lock. To enable, you can edit. And here you can see object lock works on version bucket. You must enable versioning on this bucket. So first you have to go back, enable the versioning, and then you can enable object. I do not have an use case. I am not going to enable object lock. I'll cancel this. I do not have root user for this account, and as we have discussed, you won't be able to enable MFA Delete from the AWS Management Console. That is why you will not see any option here. You need to use CLI for this task. However, that is not important for this certification, so we are going to skip. Back to my PPT. Now let me summarize it for you and let me explain when do you need what. If you need strict permanent compliance for your archive data, then you can use Glacier Vault Lock. If you want to enforce warm or write one read many on specific active S3 objects, you can use S3 Object Lock. If you need to prevent accidental deletes with extra security step, then you can enable S3 MFA Delete. And for retrieving data efficiently from S3 or Glacier, you can use S3 Select or Glacier Select. That wraps up this module. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more AWS exam preparation courses and cloud certification bootcamps. Got questions or feedback? Drop them in the comment. We love to hear from you. Thanks for learning with us at Cloud Expert Solutions. You are now one step closer to crushing your exam. See you in the next module.